Welcome to today's session of all your resources in one place. We are excited about providing you the opportunity to build a binder that will house resources to support the work you do with students and in the classroom and any school situation. Please be aware that these are suggestions and that you have the opportunity to talk with your teacher to edit so that it fits whatever the protocols and the procedures for your particular school district. In step one is a link to these binder pages. Step two, this is just the link to your actual resources today, this presentation. And step three is the certificate link you will need to access at the end of today's session. That crazy dancing pencil will remind you to write down the code phrase when you see that appear on the slides. So let's move forward. The goal of today is that participants will actually create the binder. The reason why we're doing this is that in the 2017 census, there are, in fact, about 14% of students in Kentucky that have been identified with a disability. And that goes from anywhere from low incidence disabilities to high incidence disabilities. And so our role is going to be as educators. Again, reminder, step one, within step one, there are the links to the pages. This is what it's going to look like. And this is what I wanted to make sure that you understood is that that link takes you to this folder. This folder then has 9 different mini folders or subfolders. And within those folders, there are view-only documents. Well, that doesn't help you if it's a view-only. It seems very stationary. But you can then download that and then edit each one of the documents as you see fit. Whatever you need to actually edit is going to be an option for you to make it your own. In this session today, we're really going to focus on the big ticket items that are out in front of you. Those smaller ticket items are still part of the folders, and so you'll have those accessible to you. It's just that we're really not going to dive into those. So you'll be able to look at those on your own. So we're going to start with our first one, which is building your resource binder. And you have your cover page, which is a wonderful quote. And again, you can edit this cover page to meet the needs of your own personality. But we actually put this in there. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So we want to make sure that we think about students and their individual strengths. And so that's why we've included that Albert Einstein. So if you were looking for some wonderful way to actually highlight your front cover of your binder, we've included that for you. The second page in this is the table of contents. And now if you look at that table of contents, you will see that there really are 8 different sections. And within those different sections, there are a lot of different pages. In fact, there's 37 pages that can be printed to make up your binder. I've included this picture on the screen because I wanted to make sure that you understood that if you actually open that link, you might see something that looks like this. And it's like, it's really just the format that's in so that it can be edited once it's finished. This is what it will look like. So just to be aware that that the downloaded version, when you go to print, you should have a nice clean, crisp copy to put in your binder. This quick reference guide is different than the table of contents. Now, it seems like it is the same, but the table of contents has letters that actually identify the different pages that are in that section. This quick reference guide really is about a general overview of the main points that were found in each one of the sections. Here we are, dancing pencil. That tells you, get your pencil out, a piece of paper, make sure that you write the first code phrase, because when you go to do your certificate, you will in fact have 4 choices. And within those 4 choices, you have to choose the correct code phrase. And here it is. It will be 8 sections of resources with 37 resource pages. So write that down. 8 sections of resources with 37 resource pages. So that's your first code phrase for the day. As we move on to our paraeducator role, section 1, as you see, there's A through H. And we want to just take snippet peeks, and this is going to be what we're going to be doing throughout the session. It's not going to take the entire hour because part of what you're going to be doing is then going through and looking at and then taking time to print. So it's going to take a little while to actually print these binders. So we're going to just do a quick review of all of the different sections, but not all of the pages. So you might see something like a daily schedule. We recommend that you have access and print out a daily schedule just to remind you, as well as if you are not able to come into work that day, that whoever is subbing has access to this binder as well. The paraeducator schedule, this is a kind of a modified schedule. And so what I want to make sure is that you pay attention to items 2 and 3. That's why I put it in red in there. It is basically procedure that is in place. This is just a recommended procedure. If your teacher that you're working with has a different, make sure that you edit and modify this so that you are, in fact, aligned with what your district and what your school procedures are. So it's just a place for you to actually have some great conversations with your teachers. This schedule actually came from Boone County High School. What I liked about this particular schedule is that they included Boone County High School teachers in their MSD classroom, provided me with this schedule, and they said, you know, if there is someone that is out, if there's a paraeducator that is out, then whoever is going to be subbing in for that, they will then give them Schedule 6 because it's the lighter of the schedules. And they then will, whoever has Schedule 6 will actually take on the person's schedule that is absent. So it allows for someone would be absent and then they would have a wonderful system. Now, the teachers listened to their paraeducators because the paraeducator said, would be nice if we had a mini schedule of what it looks like. What does it look like if I am in Educator 2 schedule, if I'm in a Paraeducator 3? And so they have this in their, and they can go right to it and they know exactly what they're doing that day. So this was perfect. I loved that they created this based on the needs of the paraeducators. So great communication system they set up. They also have it within their binder, a case manager list to know exactly who they can address question or concern with. And the final page that's in this section actually for students is the bus schedule. And if there are special seats of binder verification so that you have this information at your disposal, as well as the school or district mission statement, which is optional. You can put that in there as well. The next section actually is your role as a paraeducator. And so if you are a special education paraeducator, there might be some things that you just thought you knew, but maybe you just need to brush up on. Some additional pieces of information that could help you be more effective. And so those are listed there. The paraeducator expectations, again, same type of information. Some of these might be edited based on the conversations you have with your educators within your district. And the roles and responsibilities as well. This probably is something that is going to be edited, this document, because based on what students you work with and what your role is, your student tasks, daily tasks may vary. Passcode number 2 code phrase. Get your pencils ready as you write this down. Your role as a special education paraeducator. Okay, that's the phrase. Starts with your role as a special education paraeducator. That's one of the sections that we just talked about. So that is going to be the number 2 password code phrase. The third section that we're going to be looking through and highlighting some pieces is processing. What is, and then we fill in the blank. On pages H through K, we have different disabilities listed there. And just to give you room to actually expand this section, every time that you work with a student, please take the time to understand what the disability is so that you have tools already in your toolbox to be the most effective and efficient at working with students. First part is special education basics. Special education basic page really is just a list of what are the common components in a special education classroom, and knowing that the IEP is created and written specifically for each student, and that it tells what will be worked on in the school and how it will be worked on. That document is an important piece in guiding the instruction. The next page is really where we're going to focus our time in this section, is about why does it seem like this student isn't listening to me? And it's about communication. There are two different types of communication. Expressive language is what you say. Receptive language is what you understand. And so when we work with students that have autism, they have problems with both receptive and expressive language. Some students may be nonverbal or a limited verbal skills. And sometimes the receptive language is the hardest, the most challenging to identify as far as were they able to understand what we were trying to communicate. And so we have some tips here. When we talk to students, they might be hearing what you say, but not understanding. And that's the key to receptive language, is really it's about the understanding portion. Here's some simple ways to help improve the receptive language. One, use simple and direct language. So a statement such as, bring me a banana, might be more effective than when you extend that to be a full comprehensive sentence or a request. Can you bring a banana from the blue bowl? That has a lot of other words in it. We just want to be simple and direct. Doesn't mean that there are other times that we model, but when there is a receptive language barrier, then we want to make sure that we create the best environment. A small set of visual cards on a key ring, you can write them down. And the reason why is that's just a different part of the brain and how it processes the information to help them understand in that receptive language. And the last and final thing is make sure that you don't keep repeating it over and over again, because this actually causes a frustration. I also have highlighted visual schedules so that you have a page in there to understand the importance of visual schedules, the zones of regulation. This is so that we have the common vocabulary when we're working with students, teachers, parents. These zones of regulation can then be in more detail described on the zones of regulation glossary, and that is that is actually page G. But as I highlighted at the very beginning of this section, there are going to be some disabilities that we just don't have a background in, and so it's important that we educate ourselves in what each one of these disabilities entail. The next section is fostering independence. And so we want to make sure, as we're working with students, that in every opportunity that we can create, that we help them develop independence. And sometimes it's as simple as just in the bathroom or in dressing or in eating, jobs that we create around the classroom, and life skills. So we created a page here to help with the opportunities, to increasing these opportunities. A piece to help students foster independence actually is this prompt hierarchy. And we want to make sure that we gradually release the responsibility of the teacher or the educator, the paraeducator, so that students are building their own independence. And so as you notice, this graphic is a great way to understand that full physical is probably the most invasive and the least independent. And as we go up through the hierarchy, through partial, modeling, gesturing, just verbal clues and verbal prompts, to just a visual, including just positional, that those then lead to the least invasive and the most independent. For more information about these levels of the prompting, we have also included this particular page. There are other pages in here, steps of the systems of least prompts, and then we talk about constant time delay. What is it? Defining it. But then how to implement it is an important piece that I wanted to highlight, so that if you're unfamiliar with constant time delay and how to implement it, that you have this resource at your fingertips as well. A lot in this section. Passcode number 3. Passcode number 3 is a precursor to what's coming up next in behavior. So write this down. That's that dancing pencil clue. And here it is. How you may accidentally increase problem behavior. Write that down again. How you may accidentally increase problem behavior. That's what you're going to be looking for in that list for passcode number 3 when you access your certificate. So let's talk about behavior. What resources that we put in here, and then as you actually go through all of the different training sessions that are available, please know that any additional information can be included in this binder. So if you attend some other professional development sessions, know that you can add to your table of content. I'm highlighting all 3 of these because I think all 3 of them are really big rocks. So why is a student being aggressive? Here are some tips on what you might think about, some content to just help you understand that aggression occurs because it's a result of something that's beneficial for the student, okay? It gives them attention, getting them out of an undesirable situation. So sometimes we see aggression occurring because it's the result of this. Part B is about how you may accidentally increase problem behaviors. And so we just want to dive a little deeper in here because we unintentionally do this. 2 different sections here. What does not work for attention behavior? And this is important. So if the student's seeking attention, what should we not do? Verbal reprimands, threats, yelling, lecturing, those are all things that are not effective for students that are seeking attention. You're actually giving them attention. What does not work for escape behaviors? That's the second piece. We need to understand there's a difference between attention behaviors and escape behaviors. And when we give students time out, those that want to avoid that situation, we are actually giving them what they want when they have this negative behavior and you give them time out. That's exactly what they wanted in the first place. And finally, use planned ignoring. In this section, we're going to talk about keep calm and ignore the negative behavior. So some behavior is done to get attention. And so you're planning to ignore that. And that's going to be tough. Now, that's a lot of information. There are 8 sections. We've just highlighted them in snippets. And so when we think about our daily day, we might be thinking there are going to be additional questions and concerns that come up that aren't part of this content that we actually have here. This questions and concerns system with the binder and the notebook pages actually was the byproduct of the Boone County High School paraeducators meeting with the actual teachers in the classroom on a weekly schedule so that they could have some questions and concern answer sessions. Remember, our goal today was to help you create a resource binder to support the work. that you do every day. It's to increase that understanding within the school of what our roles and responsibilities are, as well as understanding the students that we work with. And so your commitment now is to create this binder and then have those conversations. Remember, you also have 3 code words. You need to make sure you put them in order. And that link has been provided on the step 3 to the Google form that will help you access your certificate. Keep in mind, just printing off these resources will not be the end of it. This is about you opening up the binder and having real conversations with the teachers and the educators within your district so that these lines of communication are clear, that there is a system put in place so that you feel empowered to be the most effective educator and support system within our region. So take the time to have these real conversations and know that we are grateful for all you do. Thank you.